our team recently, and she is a very welcome addition. She has been getting adjusted. Her husband's been getting adjusted. I'm sorry, fiance. She's getting married in a week and a half.
Ooh, that's exciting.
And her son has been getting adjusted, and they're really embracing it and loving it, and just seeing all the changes that come from getting adjusted. So it's a pleasure to have her here. Tonight's workshop is called The War Within. And everybody's like, the war within, what does that mean? Well, I'm actually going to open the workshop with a question. And the question is, who saw in the news a couple weeks ago that Angelina Jolie had a double mastectomy? Everybody saw that, right? Thoughts? Anyone? Does anyone have an opinion on that? Do you understand why she did it or what transpired there?
Yes, I understand.
Well, there's supposedly she's carrying a gene which has a predisposition to breast cancer. Supposedly.
Supposedly. Science told her, she went for a preventative test, and they said, you have a gene that predisposes you to breast cancer, we suppose.
87% chance.
87% chance, they told her. Okay, so, somebody tell me your thoughts.
Her mother passed away of breast cancer, didn't she?
Yes.
Her mother and a sister, I think.
Okay, so she had family members that passed away from breast cancer. Okay.
Does that mean that she would not have a breast cancer?
Does it mean
She
that?
would, because she removed both breasts?
Yeah.
It is in the genes.
Well, I don't think it guarantees that you won't get, but you can't have breast cancer because you won't have any more breast. They still get cancer.
You can still get cancer, absolutely.
It dropped from 87% down to 3%.
Okay, so her
Chance.
chances dropped. They told her. That was their guesstimation. 87% down to 3%. Anybody else?
Well, it dropped since the surgery dropped.
That's what Denise said. That's what Denise said, that they said, that's, you know, that's the story unfolding.
Okay.
Do I know that that's a fact? Absolutely not. But that's what they said. And that's what Denise said they said. So it must be true, right?
What about getting a second opinion before she did that?
She may have.
She may have, she may not have. We don't know.
It's late now.
I have a question. Has anybody you've heard of the breast cancer gene, obviously. Has anybody ever heard of the hangover gene? No, huh? What is this hangover gene, you say? What is this hangover gene you speak of? They actually discovered that people who carry the hangover gene are more likely to get a hangover. How interesting is that? It's true. What's the missing factor there? If you don't drink alcohol, are you going to get a hangover?
No.
Okay, so let's take it back to the breast cancer debate. You know, what are the missing factors there? What are the behaviors that could possibly lead you more towards or away from breast cancer? That's part of the topic we're going to discuss tonight. I'm not here to change anybody's mind. Everybody has their opinion. But I'm here to open you up to the debate from both sides, because that's what it is. It's a debate. And I sense that even in this room, there are people who said, yeah, she absolutely should have done that. And there are people who said, I don't know. I'm one of the not so sure. If that were me, not so sure. My mother also had cancer. I was faced with a decision similar to that. I chose no. So, based on what I've learned and what they say and what he says or she says, and that's some of the stuff that I want to share with you guys tonight. Okay? So, in opening it, I have a great funny clip for us to start with. Maybe, if I can work my way around my stuff here. 1 second. Sometimes too much technology. That's what I'm talking about. Too much technology. They detected a breast cancer gene. Does that even really exist? Who knows? I don't know. But the town of Allopath is a small town with a very funny story behind it. So we are going to hopefully see what the town of Allopath has to say. Maybe. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to drag this screen over to this screen. We're going to make this nice and big. I think we're going to have to get the volume up a little bit. And we're going to get this going. Okay.
There once was a town called Allopath. It had many people, streets, and cars. But due to budget limitations, there were no stop signs.
You just keep going.
Not surprisingly, traffic accidents were common. Cars would crash into each other at nearly every intersection.
Did I do that? Oh boy.
As the population of Alapath grew, traffic accidents increased to an alarming level.
I've been in another accident. That's 3 today.
Out of desperation, the city council hired Dr. West, a doctor of the motor division, MD, to find a solution. Dr. West spent days examining traffic accidents on an hourly rate. I see.
At an hourly rate, did you get that?
The townspeople of Alapath watched on with great curiosity while Dr. West went about his work.
This guy's good. What's he doing?
After weeks of investigations, Dr. West called the people of Alapath to a town meeting for release of his report.
Here it is. Traffic accidents are caused by skid marks. I have found and documented a near 100% correlation between traffic accidents and skid marks. Oh. This town has skid marks disease. Right in my picture. I could have thought of it with my brain.
Thank you.
It's amazing. Good, too.
The city paid Dr. West his consulting fee, then asked the good doctor to propose a method for treating this skid marks disease.
I recommend a particular chemical coating, Teflon. Teflon! Oh! Teflon!
The city immediately placed a large order with the chemical company that manufactured Rhodoceuticals. Within weeks, the streets were completely coated and the skid marks all but disappeared. Traffic accidents were over. Hospital beds were overflowing with injured residents. The town economic advisor, observing the sharp increase in economic activity, announced that Alapath was booming.
Times are good. Things are great, except that we're getting creamed.
Things are great, except we're getting creamed.
And yet, there were no skid marks.
Not again! It keeps happening! I thought we had this figured out. We've got to get to the bottom of this.
Well, the city council was baffled. They thought they had solved this problem.
You said it!
They called a town meeting, and following a short discussion of the problems,
Who's that old guy?
an old hermit who lived in the forest just outside Alapath addressed the townspeople.
There's no such thing as skid marks disease. No skid marks disease? Outrageous! This disease was invented by the Rhodoceuticals company to sell you Teflon coatings. That's crazy talk. This is a simple problem. All we need to do is build stop signs and traffic lights. Then the traffic accidents will cease. Crazy. You must take out the Teflon. He's a nut. A big nut. Big tough nut.
The townspeople were horrified to hear such a statement.
Personally, I'm horrified to hear such a statement.
They knew skid marks disease existed. Dr. West had told them so. But what may happen if stop signs actually work?
How will that affect our booming economy in Alapath?
It was at that moment that most of the townspeople realized their own jobs were at stake. If stop signs were built, nearly everyone would be unemployed.
Yeah, what about them?
We'll all lose our livelihood. They all had jobs in emergency response services, car repair shops, hospitals, and Teflon coating maintenance. It was important that everyone continued to believe that skid marks disease was the cause of the accidents. Out of fear of losing this economic prosperity, the townspeople voted to create a new public safety agency, the Frequent Drivers Association. The FDA's board members were chosen from among the business leaders of the community, the owner of the car shop, the owner of the ambulance company, and, of course, Dr. West. Soon after its inception, the FDA announced that skid marks disease was indeed very real.
Skid marks are the stop signs are black.
This pleased the townspeople of Alapath. With the FDA, they knew their jobs were safe. They still had a lot of traffic accidents, but at least their jobs were secure. And so life continued in Alapath. For a short while, at least. As traffic accidents continued at a devastating rate, more and more residents of Alapath were injured. Many were left unable to work due to their injuries. dwindled. The once booming town of Alapath eventually became little more than a ghost town. No one was any healthier or happier or longer lived. And the hermit? He outlived every single resident of Alapath. In his spare time, he constructed stop signs, waiting for the next population to come along and hoping they might listen to an old hermit with a crazy idea. And that so-called crazy idea is simply this. The mere treatment of symptoms is not the answer. When it comes to your health and well-being, looking and feeling younger, avoiding diseases, increasing your energy, and living a long and fulfilling life, prevention and real cure are the only real answer.
Hey, Amaka, thank you for the lessons. So, let's go back to our previous discussion for a second. Let's revisit it. What do we think now? How does that relate to our previous discussion? We were talking about Angelina Jolie and her decision to have a mastectomy, double mastectomy.
Prevention.
Hmm?
Prevention.
Is that prevention?
No, I wouldn't, I don't agree with what she did.
And that's what we were saying before you came in. There were people in the room that said, they said she had an 87% chance. It dropped to, what did you say, 3%?
3%.
Then there were other people in the room who said, I don't agree. I don't agree. That's what they said, based on a symptom that they found. A symptom that we're not even sure it exists. Let's talk about allopath and skid marks disease. How does that relate to this conversation? How does that relate to this idea? It's the same thing I heard somebody say. Yeah, let's remove the skid marks. Who needs stop signs? Let's just remove the skid marks. Every car that gets in an accident leaves a trail. That must be the cause. It's crazy, right? I mean, it's a funny cartoon, but it's crazy. Let's you know what? Let's get a board of experts made up from the heads of drug companies, the heads of medical societies, the heads of all these places that have the economy booming, and let's ask them to make the decisions. Is that what happens in this country? It is. Sadly, it is. The country's being run by the pharmaceutical industries. It's being run by the FDA, who's in bed with, if not part of, the pharmaceutical industry. I'm digging a little deep tonight, and I'm going to ask a lot of questions because I want you guys to start thinking. Okay? We're talking about prevention
Bless you, God bless you.
rather than treating symptoms. It's a very, bless you, big difference. It's huge. And there have been times in history where we've always gone after symptoms, and it really doesn't prove to work. And we're going to go through that. Okay? So, keep this what we saw in mind while we scroll through the next portion. So our bodies are in a constant state of battling forces. We talk about the quantity and quality of the foods we eat, what we're putting into our system. Does that have anything to do with prevention of disease, what we put in our bodies?
Yes, absolutely.
We're talking about taking care of ourselves, exercising. We're talking about our minds, keeping them focused on good, positive gratitudes rather than all the negativity that's out there. Right? How many people have been going on and on and on about the devastation in Oklahoma? That's what we're drawn to. However, the people who come in talking to me about the uplifting side of that, hey, I'm sending food there, I'm sending this there, I'm doing that there. People there need help. That's I want to give. Rather than, oh, those poor people. I'm so tired of hearing that. Do something. Okay? So, blank slide. Oh, there we go. Who remembers the war on poverty? In 1964, President Johnson declared a war on poverty. In 1964. How did that work out for us?
Oh, it didn't work.
Didn't work. Didn't change. The poverty rate has remained steady since the 1970s and today. But he declared a war against it. He said, we're going against poverty. That's it. We won't tolerate it anymore. War on poverty.
It's still there.
And it's still there. Not so good.
That's a question.
How about the war on cancer? How are we doing with that? Speaking of Angelina Jolie. In 1971, President Nixon declared a war on cancer. A war on cancer. Are any less people getting cancer today?
No.
Our president declared this. How can we not be getting less cancers? We're pouring more money into cancer research than ever before. We've got more tools. We've got, what do we use for cancer these days? Chemotherapy. Chemotherapy. It's expensive, and the war's lost. It's a complete and utter failure, with our weapon of choice killing little cancer, with the hapless patient being the chief casualty in this war. More people are dying of chemotherapy and radiation than they are of cancers. But we declared a war on it. Right? So how about the war on drugs? How are we doing with that? 1980s, President Reagan declared a war on drugs. That's it. No more drugs. We've had it. We're going to war. After 35 years and $500 billion, drugs are as cheap and plentiful as ever. We poured a lot of money into that war. We poured a lot of resources into that war. How about the war on terror? How are we doing with that war? After September 11th, 2001, President Bush declared a war on terrorism. Thank God, because there's no more of that going on in the world today, right? The only way to stop terrorism is to remove the underlying cause. It's all about always removing the underlying cause. So, what about the war within? What's the war within that we're talking about? What's the war that's going on in our bodies when we talk about people like Angelina Jolie? When we talk about sickness versus health? We declare war on germs. We declare war on germs, and we say, you know what? You give me a germ, and I'll give you an antibiotic to fix it. Right? Isn't that the same as the other wars? Let's explore it. The soil theory. Okay, this guy was Louis Pasteur. Louis Pasteur won a Nobel Prize for, this guy's Claude Bernard. Louis Pasteur won a Nobel Prize for the germ theory. Does anybody know what the germ theory is? The germ theory means that if there's a germ in the air and we're exposed to it, we're going to get sick. So Louis Pasteur came up with this germ theory, and everybody bought into it except for Claude Bernard. Claude Bernard said, illnesses hover constantly above us. They're seeds blown by the wind, but they do not set in the terrain unless the terrain is ready to receive them. He came up with, is it the seed or the soil? Is it the germ or is it the human body? But Louis Pasteur, he won the Nobel Prize, so it must be the germ. This guy says, hey, listen, if there's a seed for a flower and the soil isn't ready to receive it, will that flower grow? No. Absolutely not. If there's a germ in the air and our bodies are not willing to receive it, will that germ grow? No. So what causes disease? The seed or the soil?
The seed. The soil.
The soil. It's us. It's us. It's not the seed. They're not cancer germs floating around out there. It's not happening. This just keeps going. Okay. So Louis Pasteur, on his deathbed, after he won the Nobel Prize, said, on his deathbed, I was wrong. It's the soil. It's not the seed. The guy who came up with the germ theory couldn't rest in his final resting place until he declared, I'm wrong. Okay? So the war within, are we better off strengthening the host or attacking the disease? What did Angelina Jolie choose to do?
Attack the disease.
See the difference?
Weaken the host more.
Weaken the host. That's another point. She opened herself up to a whole bunch of other things by doing that. Now, again, I'm not passing judgment. I'm not saying whether Angelina Jolie was right or wrong. I haven't walked a mile in her shoes. I'm just questioning with you guys. Okay? So, a report of 207... Whoops. We lost that. Let's go back. A report of 276 volunteers exposed to a common cold virus showed that those who had been under stress for more than a month were most likely to get sick. Right? It's talking about the germ theory. The cold and flu season comes along, and these people that are under stress are more likely to get it. What's up with that? Is it the seed or is it the soil? The soil. So immunity is inherited, acquired, or induced resistance to infection by a specific pathogen. Can anybody tell me what immunity is in English?
The ability to fight back.
The ability to fight back, the ability to fight disease that we all have. We all have an immune system, right? Our ability is our immunity. Some of our immune system is inherited. Some of it's acquired. And some of it is induced resistance. If we're exposed to something, we're going to develop an immunity to it. If we are exposed to chickenpox as a child, we're going to develop an immunity to it on our own. If we get the vaccine, we're not so sure, because we're tampering with it. Okay? So our immune systems are complex. Our immune systems produce matching antibodies for everything that it's exposed to over the course of our lifetime. Our bodies are built to fight. They know how to do it. We get this. From the time we're born, we have an immune system. It's a God-given gift that we have within us. But we refuse to understand the power of it or believe in it, and we put our faith into science and medicine, and we say, take my breasts. I'm good. Okay?
I suppose it come out of the places. Suppose the germs pop up into our head or come to other places in your body. It's not only your breast and your ovaries or whatever, but you can have a brain tumor, brain cancer.
Exactly. Exactly. That's a great point. You know, she chopped off her breast. What's she going to chop off next? Her head?
It would be an improvement.
So, although germs may be one of the essential and contributing causes to disease, I'm not saying germs don't cause disease, but they alone are not sufficient to produce illness. In theory, if the germ theory were correct, there would be no one living to believe it. Is that true or is that true? If everybody got the disease that was floating around, we'd all be dead. B.J. Palmer said this. B.J. Palmer is the developer of chiropractic. We love him. Okay. So the strength of our immune system determines our body's ability to resist infection and the growth of abnormal or cancerous cells. Our immune system is what tells those cells to stop growing. Cancer is an immune system disorder. If you strengthen the host, are you more likely or less likely to develop cancer? Less likely. So when we talk about strengthening the host, most of you have seen this pyramid before. The best way to strengthen our body is to pay attention to our vital needs. Nerve flow is our most vital need, the communication between our brain and our body. If that's not working, you can't be healthy. If that's cut off, you die instantly. That's where it all starts. You done over there? So our nerve system is what we need to pay attention to the most. That's what's going to strengthen us the most. Whoops, did I skip one? So this is a research paper that was done on patients who were adjusted under chiropractic care. And what they found is, does anybody know what serum thiol is? Serum thiol is your body's ability to allow your DNA to repair. So, in other words, your immune system to fight. So patients who had chronic disease, their serum thiol levels were tested and they were around 40. Patients who were adjusted for under 3 months, for regular chiropractic care under 3 months, theirs raised up to 55. Patients who were adjusted chiropractically for over 6 months, their serum thiol levels shot up to 71. Direct proof that with long-term chiropractic care, 6 months or more, and as it goes, it actually gets higher, that your body's ability to fight disease and repair goes up. How great is that? How great is that? How does an adjustment make us healthier? Serum thiol levels go up. So for any of those doubting Thomases, we've got it. We've got the studies to show it. Isn't that amazing? Not only do we look at our nervous system, but the other things on that pyramid, including exercise. Do you know that exercise will increase the production of neurons in your brain? You'll hold on to those cells in your brain for longer. Your smarts will be with you for a longer time. Your smartitude, it lasts, okay? Only if we exercise. A stagnant lifestyle is more dangerous than smoking cigarettes. Okay? Immobility kills more people than smoking. Alcohol and nicotine, what do you think they do to us? Duh. So, do we have control over our nervous systems? Do we have control over our immunity? Are there so many things that we can do just from our pyramid, getting ourselves adjusted, checking out and making sure we're exercising? How about the foods we eat? Do you think eating blueberries is going to help our immune system?
Yes.
Whew! You bet your bottoms it is. The foods we eat, the choices we make, all determines the health of our nervous system and our immune system. So, increase your immunity every day. Chiropractic care, physical exercise, how about cognitive exercises? Learning new material, sitting in workshops like this, sharing your ideas, asking the tough questions, not avoiding the conversations like the Angelina Jolie one. That's a tough conversation to have. People have really, really strong opinions about it, and that's okay. That's okay. But let's get talking about it. Let them hear your voice. Let them hear your opinion. Because right now, you people in the 25 minutes you've been sitting in this room have been exposed to more information than most of the people have in a lifetime. I mean, even Denise came in here. Did anybody hear her reaction to Angelina Jolie? She was like, yeah, she had to do it.
No, not most of
What do you think now? Do you have any question now? You know, I mean, ask and learn. Let people hear your voice. Let them hear what you have to say. Use your chiropractic experiences. Use your stories to get out there and help people. Or else we're all going to walk around chopping our boobs off. We're not going to have happy men or women. Or babies that want a nurse. Society's going... Could you imagine if we all walked around chopping our boobs off? Seriously.
I also read it's not coincidence that this is the time where she did it. Because they're mentioning, I'm not like...
Her career is sinking.
No, just that, like Obamacare and everything. So they want to, I guess, promote the stopping before it happens.
There's always economy and all that politics involved. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I'm asking which special exercise increase your nervous rate?
Cardiovascular exercise, walking for at least 20 to 30 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week, is going to reduce your risk of all major diseases by 60%. Okay? I mean, you know, even when you get older, a lot of people have trouble moving around, getting out. Nothing's stopping you from doing crossword puzzles or mazes. That's cognitive exercises. Learning something, reading a book, you know, watching a movie that's inspiring and uplifting rather than... But, you know, all these things, there's so much that we can do. Please, the one thing I'll ask you not to do is watch the news and then go to bed. Hear these horrible tragedies and these awful stories. And then people tell me, I can't sleep at night. Why do you think? So, it is from Numberless Diverse Acts of Courage. It's from numberless diverse acts of courage and belief that human history is shaped. Each time a man stands up for an ideal, or acts to improve the lot of others, please think of others, or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope. A tiny ripple, and that's all we need. But we need hope. And like I said, we need to hear your voices, we need to hear your stories, and you need to share them. Now let's talk about something fun. Who knows about the contest going on in our office for the grill? Has everybody heard about our grill giveaway?
Yes.
Does anybody in this room have any points yet?
Yes.
Who has points? Raise your hand.
Everybody for being here today.
Everybody does for being here. Absolutely. You all have points for being here. You have points for bringing guests. Miss Martin, right?
Yes.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to our workshop. She's a guest. Was it worth it for you to come out tonight? Did you enjoy it?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think other people need to hear this story, these messages as well?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask is Dana has the new workshop schedule that's coming up for the next few months, and I'm going to ask everybody to just sign up for one workshop while you're here with a guest. Just with a guest. Please, let's help spread the message. You'll get points, you'll have fun, and they'll all learn something. And that was it. 30 minutes And we're starting to ask some different questions, right? Thank you for coming.
You